ChitChat Radio, ChitChat Radio. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. This is Camille Jones. Had my mute on. Crazy. It is Wednesday. It is 7:30. Time for Logical Wellness. Thanks for joining. Whether you are joining us on Twitch, you guys are here first. Thank you always for listening. Facebook, YouTube, our website, chitchatradio410.com. Stream with us there. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. If you want to follow me at CEJ Images across all social media, including YouTube. There's a lot to talk about today, and I always have to start with disclaimers. Always start with the same disclaimers. First and foremost, disclaimer number one, I am not a physician, not a doctor. I am not telling you what I am giving you is not medical advice. It is logical advice using the logical system that we call our bodies. I am not telling you to stop a med. Don't go to your doctor. I'm not telling you not to listen to your doctor. I am simply giving you information that is going to help you keep control of your own health and wellness. That's number one. So, number two, as a holistic provider, I specialize in detox. That's what I do. Specialize in high frequency lymphatic detox, which your immune system and your immunity lives within that system. So when I refer to things that can be done for our states of health and wellness, it is intrinsic in all of us that we have that ability for the body to heal. That's number two. Number three, I want to make sure that what you're understanding and what I am telling you are things that I know. How do I know them? Because I've experienced them, or my clients have experienced them. I can't tell you things that I have not seen or heard personally. So I am not making these things up. I am speaking anecdotally from things that are what they are. Now, for that, let's go into this. In saying that, let's go into last week. So particularly ladies, I say this to everybody, but particularly ladies, if you're in a relationship with someone, ladies and men, but particularly ladies, make sure that that relationship is in a space where the two of you together, when necessary, can pull each other up on where you fall short or when your card needs to be pulled, right? And have that space. That's like one of the greatest freedoms, that you have somebody that loves you that can pull you up on your ish sometimes if you need to be pulled up, right? So my wonderful husband, who is fantastic, always gives me advice after these shows, particularly because of the sensitive information that we discuss. And last week, he pointed out something that I need to apologize for if it's happened and pre-apologize for if it's going to happen. So he reminded me that in what I talk about, I'm very passionate about what I say and what I talk about. And in sometimes when I'm speaking passionately, he reminded me that it can sometimes be taken, my passion can be taken as if I'm speaking to devalue a person, place, or thing, or to speak down about those particular things. And that is never, ever, 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 ever my goal or my focus. So for all of my allopaths, all of you allopaths, Western physicians, doctors, MDs, let me apologize if it sounded last week as if I was speaking badly about your genius profession. There are genius doctors who are saving people's lives. I am not speaking against that genius, not at all. There are fantastic doctors out there. There are some that aren't so fantastic. But here's something else. There are some holistic people that aren't really fantastic either. However, in order for me to give the information to the people listening about how to keep a hold on their health and wellness, I have to give them information that they can use in order to do that. That includes going into the history of something like allopathic medicine. But just because I went into the history, which I had to because the history is what it is, never once was I trying to speak down or badly about a doctor or doctors in general. So if you got that, or you listened to my last week and take some offense to it, I am sincerely apologizing. That is not at all my focus, and that is not what I'm speaking about when I speak about allopathic medicine. And really, generally, I'm speaking about big pharma and insurance companies. However, doctors are included in that, and I was not speaking about that. So if you all have been offended by that, I am very sorry. Very, very sorry. That's not what I was doing. Now, with that said, let's go into what we're going to talk about tonight, because I said we were going to talk about the spike protein. And y'all know how I feel about this vaccine. You also know I'm not telling you not to take it. That is not my place. The only person whose place that is you. So all I'm doing is giving you enough information to make that assessment using information that comes from people who know. So what we're going to talk about in this spike protein today is information that came directly from the horse's mouth, from the doctor who created the mRNA technology. So let's say this, first of all, before I go into that, because I just said mRNA technology. And listen and remember to what I'm about to say. Technology will never heal nature. Hear that? Technology will never heal nature. 3G, 4G, 5G mass manufacturing and industry has killed Mother Nature. She is storming like crazy because she's mad as hell. We are the same nature that Mother Nature is. We were all created the same way. She is storming in weather. We are storming in illness. Technology cannot heal nature. You know how I break down the word technology? Technological, logical. What is the name of this show? Logical Wellness. What do I say about the body? It is logical. It is a logical system. Logical. No, thank you for my body. Appreciate your offer, but no thanks. So in saying that, that's the beginning of what we're about to talk about, right? We're about to talk about technologies that are created for natural beings. That right there is a conundrum in itself. Okay, that right there is the reason Camille is choosing not to take the vaccine. Okay, now here's what's exciting. So this guy, if you don't know who Dr. Robert Malone is, Dr. Robert Malone is the doctor who created the mRNA technology. He's the inventor of it. And this video that I am getting ready to refer to is on my YouTube page at CEJ Images under the Dr. Malone folder, library, whatever you call it. He invented the mRNA technology. So what he's doing in this podcast that I'm referring to is he is breaking down Monica, it may not be just you. You know, they like to, when I start talking about certain things, they play. So the mRNA technology is what this particular doctor created. And he's a brilliant doctor. When you listen to him speak, you just sit there with your mouth open, and he explains in layman's terms what the spike protein is and what the mRNA technology is and how they created it. But there are some really, really, really important points that I need y'all to know. Really important points. And these come from his mouth directly. And I left this, I watched this thing 4 or 5 times because there was so much information that I had to go back and take notes. See, if you're watching me live, I have my notes because I didn't want to misspeak. I wanted to make sure I took his information and put it down in a way that that works. It might be my those that are live streaming are saying it's freezing, so it may be the connection. So let's go over this. Let's go over what he said first. So remember this: I am not a doctor. I am not an immunologist, a vaccinologist. I'm not a chemist. I am simply somebody who can read and somebody who can listen. So this is what I need you to listen to. This came from the horse's mouth, y'all. I know the video keeps freezing and that's intentional. So I'm going to see how I can fix that. But you all can go to the website. Y'all can go to the website, ChitChat Radio 410, and stream it as well. So let's talk about what Dr. Malone has said about the mRNA vaccine. And this is how he opened his podcast. For all of us, we've had this discussion about how bad the censorship has been, even for little holistic people like me who are trying to give information that is helping you all be well, right? They've been censoring us. This guy created the technology of the mRNA vax, and they are censoring the mess out of him. This guy is getting death threats and all kinds of other types of censorship. So the first thing he opened with when he was on Dr. Aaron Stayer's podcast was this idea of censorship. And from the gate, he acknowledged that our government and other entities that are in charge of disseminating information are deliberately dismissing adverse effects from scores of doctors. And he says he gets scores of doctors that call him, write him, and tell him every time they try to give an adverse effect, they are shut down, or they're told they're wrong, or they are censored. So the first thing he comes out with is his disdain for this misinformation. Remember last week we talked about who they said misinformation was? So in these adverse effects, he is claiming that there are many that are being stifled. Absolutely, many that are being stifled. And doctors aren't able to say or give information that people need to know about adverse reactions to the V, right? He actually wrote what's called a logic structure about that censorship and about the inability of doctors to really talk about what adverse effects are. So that was his first thing. The other thing is trustsite.com, right? Trust site. You all need to go and get information from there because he speaks there a lot. He puts a lot of information there. And if you all really want to hear it from the horse's mouths, then you're going to go there and listen. So I'm going to start pulling information from the notes so I don't forget. So these are the words he used. He used the word gaslighting. He used direct censorship. And you know what he used? The red pill. And he talked about the matrix. He said it. You guys, this is the guy that's created this technology. And he called this the red pill. And he talked about gaslighting from the government. He said this. I am not paraphrasing. This is what he said. He said that there was a Facebook group of a bunch of doctors, maybe over 200 doctors or so, that were reporting adverse effects from these, and that group was deleted multiple times. He said, and what I love about him is he's very cognizant about the way he says things, because he knows what happens when we try to give people information that's actually going to help us. And he actually said that his life was in jeopardy. I'm going to let you hear it. Go to my YouTube page and look under Dr. Malone, and you will see the video and you can hear him say it from his own mouth. At CEJ Images is the YouTube channel. So he said the Facebook groups were deleted as well, right? He also said that the Trusted News Initiative, which is a BBC consortium of Facebook, IG, the Associated Press, and all of the normal players, that had a coordinated censorship goal. And he said, you know what? You don't have to believe me. You can Google that. You Google everything else. The Trusted News Initiative. He claimed that that Trusted News Initiative has a coordinated censorship program going that is designed to not give us the information that we need for our own safety. But wait, I'm gonna get to the good stuff in a minute, right? Because the first 5 minutes of his video, I was like, so I don't need to hear anymore. I mean, I don't need to hear anymore. So that's the first thing he said. He said that from public health agencies, there is disseminated misinformation. And, we can generalize what misinformation is. But, at this point, I was like, yep. Those of us that are in this what is coined anti-vaxxer group, and that's another conversation. This is stuff that's not surprising to us, right? Those of us that are getting censored, those of us that are in it and know that every time we try to help, we get shut down. This is not new. So he also said, we need to pay attention. Remember what I said in one show, that we were a 5-minute country, and every 5 minutes we forget what we heard 5 minutes ago. And I used the same example as of Fauci that he did. He said, Fauci has even admitted, he has admitted to substitute his own opinion for fact. You hear that? So that he substituted his own opinion for fact. So this brilliant doctor who is speaking is calling out the censorship that is so blatant. I don't understand why most people don't see it. So, that's admittedly, right? So I'm going through my notes, right? So now let's talk about the protein. So this is where it gets good, right? I was listening and I felt like I was watching a movie. Every time he said something, I was like, what? So we're talking about the spike. And last week you all asked me to talk about the spike protein. I am not a vaccinologist. So a spike protein to me is just as foreign as it probably is to you. So I am going to listen to the man who made the engineered spike protein. So first and foremost, what a spike protein is they're little knobs of proteins that stick to the cells that they want to infect. And then they have messengers that change the shape of it as it infects the cell to help it enter the cell. So that's what a spike protein is. And they call it a wild spike because that's the one that's in the virus. Okay. So it is a protein, almost like a fat or a lipid. Remember I said that. It is a protein that it's knobs of protein, right? They're not like sharp, but they're what you see on the little cartoons that they make of COVID. These little knobs of protein that change shape in order to help it get into the cell to infect the cell. Okay. This is what he described as a spike protein. The second thing he said, and y'all listen to what I'm saying, the second thing he said is that the spike protein is knowingly cytotoxic. Now, cytotoxic means it is toxic to living cells. A spike protein is toxic to living cells. Okay, remember that. It is toxic because it opens the blood-brain barrier. That is real scary. The blood-brain barrier is what protects the body and blood from microorganisms that can kill it. So if it opens that blood-brain barrier, there's no barrier to protection, right? There's no barrier to infection. I'm sorry. There's nothing protecting that blood. There's nothing. The blood-brain barrier. blood, brain, brain, blood, two of the most important things you need in your body for life, right? So a spike protein opens that blood-brain barrier. So let's now segue to the testing. One of the things that he said that was very concerning is that the question of the toxicity of the spike protein did not come up until after the Vs had been initiated. How do you initiate a V without testing the activity or cytotoxicity of a spike protein? And so he was like, exactly. How do you do that? And so you all can connect the dots from here, right? And so that's what he does. He leaves nuggets that you all can take and then connect the dots like I try to do. So how do you create a V using a type of spike protein without testing it on what? Humans, right? So then let me say this. Once the question came up, and I need y'all to really, really listen right now. I need y'all to really, 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 really listen. He said that when the question came up about the spike protein and how does it react in toxicity in humans, that's the question, right? What does it do to humans? Listen, what does it do to humans? That's the question. This was how they answered it. And after I say this, if y'all decide that this is really like a good idea for you, then maybe we need to have a separate private conversation another time. The question of the spike protein, and this is his, I'm quoting, is coupled with, which means they're using, this is how they're answering the question, is coupled with using culture cell organoids. So I need to stop right there. Culture cell organoids. So remember, we're asking a question. How toxic is a spike protein to the human body? This is the answer. Their answer is to use culture cell organoids, which are human-like organs that are grown in a test tube that enable alternatives to animal testing. Wait, I'm not done. So that you can gather data from human tissues without human experiments. Yeah, I'll wait for y'all to process exactly what I just said. And I am quoting him. The video is there. You can go and look at it. I'm asking the same question. And this is the reason why I am choosing not to take this. They are trying to figure out what a toxic spike protein does to the toxicity levels in a human without using humans or animals. It is a test tube created human-like organ that they are trying to pull human tissue data from, but they're not using humans. So you're creating the sample that you want to use to test what you want to make for something that's not tested on the sample that you actually need to find out from. Okay, so I'll repeat that for those of you who want me to repeat it. The question of the activity of the spike protein is coupled with using culture cell organoids. Did you hear what I said? Organoids, not organisms. Organisms live. Organoids are created. So they are using culture cell organoids to create in a test tube human-like organs to try and gather data from human tissues without using human tissues. So you're expecting me to say, what about that? I mean, for me, we talk about logic, right? For me, completely and utterly illogical. And that was his problem. He kept referring, and he's brilliant. You guys have to watch this video. He's not speaking in directness because he knows what that could do for his health, right? And for his life. So he's giving these nuggets that are blatantly obvious and letting people connect the dots, right? Like I try to do. So that's the first thing. So for me, as far as I was concerned, I was like, yep, I don't even need to see the rest of the daggone video. But the video, he's so powerful when he speaks that that you just have to listen. So as he's speaking, he is not an anti-vaxxer. He's a vaccinologist. So he speaks about the efficacy of vaccines all the time, but he is speaking out against the lack of testing for this particular vax that he has created the technology for. So let's go to the next point, right? Let's go to the next point. Like I said, they didn't start testing for the toxicity of the protein until after the vaccines were initiated. So what are you using? You guessing? You just making up stuff? It's a computer program. So you're just going to do that, right? That's what you're going to do. Okay. Then this is what else he said. And remember, this is coming from him, not me. They didn't test interactions with brain vessels or cells. They did not test toxicity interactions with brain vessels or cells. Your life. They did not. And this is the inventor. This guy is the guy who created the technology, right? But remember what I said in the beginning? Technology cannot heal nature. It's impossible. Can't do it. So we talk about the cytotoxicity of a spike protein, right? So the whole deal about messenger RNAs is the idea is to create like a messenger envelope. He used a FedEx envelope so that there's an envelope and there's a message on the inside. So the idea in mRNA is that when the cell is approached, fat or lipid, which is the envelope on the outside, once it attaches to the cell, is supposed to dissolve, and then the message goes into the cell, and that cell is supposed to remember what it's supposed to remember. But doesn't that sound like a computer program to you? It sounds like a computer program to me, right? But we're talking about natural beings. So he talked about the blood-brain barrier. Oh, let me before we go through that, before we do that spike protein. So the idea is that messenger RNA is supposed to act like a spike protein, is an engineered spike protein. So you're creating a protein they call the wild protein, the one that's in the virus, they call that the wild spike protein. But they are engineering spike proteins in the V's that they're going to inject into you. Yet they know on base level that spike proteins are cytotoxic. They are cytotoxic. Okay. So all I'm doing, I'm taking this dot and giving you this dot and giving you this dot. What y'all do with it is your business, because I can't force you to believe anything. I'm just giving you information. So let's go back to the blood-brain barrier so that I could read the definition of what that is. It is you can Google this. This is a crucial definition. It is a crucial immunological feature of the CNS, central nervous system, it's a structural and functional roadblock to microorganisms in the bloodstream. But spike proteins are now found to be cytotoxic, whether wild or engineered. Okay. So what he then said was that in these V's that have the engineered, whether the engineered protein, whether the they're gonna freeze the information they don't want y'all to have. They are taking this RNA, this message that expresses a spike protein. That's what the messenger does. It's expressing or creating a spike protein that is supposed to send a message to the cell. Okay, it's a computer program. Okay, Dr. Malone said that the J&J, they have acknowledged problems with blood clotting, right? Which is a core problem of the actual disease. But now it's in your technology, in the V. And he said Even the other RNAs is not an RNA. The other ones are. Those RNAs, as well as the RNAs, are expressing some of the same symptoms that the virus and the wild spike are creating. So again, my question is, okay, where's the benefit? Where's the benefit? Oh, back in the beginning when they haven't even tested this on human tissue yet? Okay, all right. So then he said, and remember, listen, go on my YouTube channel, CEJ Images, and watch it. Watch him speak. Watch him speak. Listen to what he's saying. You can get the information yourself. Then he says that now they're finding that the wild spike with the known toxicities can be, and he said can because he's like, and he said this too, if it sounds like a duck, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck, right? He said the wild spike, which are the known toxicities, may be associated with the engineered protein that they are trying to use as an antigen. So the issue with, so the RNA, the messenger, is supposed to create this protein, again, a protein, remember, protein, that is supposed to be used as an antigen, or what I say, a controller that's supposed to change your cellular functioning. Okay, again, something I'm not too excited about, right? Not too excited about at all. Now, here's what he said later in the video. I mean, there's so much in there that I haven't even said, but I'm picking like the main points because I need y'all to know, right? Especially those of you that are on the fence. He then said this: when you start a new drug, and I didn't know this, there is something that is called a CTD that the drug companies have to fill out that include all of the adverse effects and data and things that tell, the powers that be, what this does, what this doesn't do, how is it potentially toxic to humans, and all of this information needs to be put into the CTD to be used as an emergency use authorization. Remember, these Vs are currently under an emergency use authorization, right? Until your president decides, oh, September 6th is going to be a good day to approve it. You know why? Because there is a federal law that says employers cannot force employees to take a V under emergency use authorization. But when that EUA is taken away, they can force you without your ability to sue them. So I just need to put that in your ear too, because September 6th is coming, and all of a sudden they're talking about now forcing the military and the feds to take it. Okay, so let's go back. So in this CTD, you're supposed to put in everything that could be a potential hazard to human experimentation or human dispersing it to humans, right? He said he was alarmed, and he used the word alarm. And those of you who are watching, they're saying that it keeps freezing. They do that to me a lot, right? They do that to me a lot. So it's the information that I'm saying. So go to the website, chitchatradio410.com, and try to stream from there. So yeah, the CTD has to talk about all of the potential adverse effects to humans. Dr. Malone said that he was alarmed. He was alarmed, and that's the word that he used. At the lack, there were two groups of data that he was alarmed about. The first one was that reproductive studies, women, listen to me, reproductive studies were not done in large numbers. The reproductive studies were very small, and there were no genotoxicity studies done. I need y'all to understand how important that is, because I need to read to you what genotoxicity studies are. Genotoxicity studies can be defined as various in vitro and in vivo tests designed to identify any substance or compounds which may induce damage to genetic material, either directly or indirectly. And when I say in this CTD, there were no genotoxicity studies, there were no studies that identified any substance which may induce damage to genetic material. They didn't even do it. It wasn't even done. And you know why it wasn't done? Because none of these spike protein tests were done on humans. They were done on human-like test tube. And this guy is the guy who does it. He's the one who creates it. Test tube cell culture organoids. Yet they didn't do any genotoxicity studies about what this would do to your genetic material. So I'm gonna let y'all sit on that for a minute. Because if that is what you want, then go ahead, take it. Go ahead, take it. But I want to know from the people who are in it, who create it. And when I say this doctor was not pleased at all by the lack of human studies, and he kept repeating it, and he kept repeating it, and he kept repeating it. No toxicity, no genotoxicity studies done, and the reproductive studies were too low to give any information at all. And he personally said it is an untruth for the government to say that no corners have been cut in determining and accepting these Vs under EUA, which is part of the reason they're choosing a date to now suddenly approve them. But even still, no human studies have been done. Now, I'm not going to say, anywhere, but I'm going to listen to the guy who knows. I'm going to listen to the guy who made this, who created this stuff. And he's saying that there weren't enough human studies. And he even said that finally, recently, there were some animal studies done. But then he also referred to the fact that animal studies don't mean humans, and that things can change very drastically when you're going from animal to human. Bottom line, not enough human studies done. Not enough. And he said part of informed consent from the government is allowing us to understand what the potential adverse effects are. But if they are not telling us, then that's part of the lie. So this guy who is trying to give us the truth is being censored all over the place, being threatened, along with other doctors who have pointed this out in the CTD too. So the fact that censorship is so stringent right now should scare y'all. And so in all of this, go to my YouTube channel and watch that video. It is amazing. I'm about to watch everything with Dr. Malone in it. But this is important for y'all to know. So when people are asking me, why don't I want to take something like that? One, because it's completely illogical and not even human. They haven't even tested it on humans. You know who the test subjects are? All y'all that have taken it already. Sorry, but that's about true. All of y'all, because they didn't do human studies in the beginning, those of you that have been taking it are now the human studies that they need, right? Instead of asking, they just take and force. And this is crucial. You all are doing in this show is to try to get you all to a point where you're strong enough to keep control of your own mind. Because every other human right, they are snatching away from your face every single day. And y'all just sit and smile and kiki and think it's cute, and they putting you in Facebook jail, and it's right there. And don't let it be too late. Not only are they taking your freedom of speech, they're taking your health. You're being forced to put something in your body that you don't want. And for comparison reason only, I'm going to say something that is crucial, because I think this sin is one of the worst sins in the world. And I can't tell you what I think people who do this should. I can't tell you what I think should happen to them. I think they should be tortured horrifically. But this is how important I need y'all to get this. Forced Penetration without permission is a form of rape. And I think rape is the worst. I'm sorry, but for comparison only, I need you all to get how crucial this is. They're taking things from you. Your health, your brain is going to be next if they don't already have it. I need, whether you decide to take this vaccine or not, all of us need to be at a point where we understand what our bodies are telling us and learn how to keep our bodies detoxed. All of us. But the other thing that we need to stop doing, we need to stop being divisive with people who don't share our own opinions, because what that is doing is killing the soul, and it is killing the mind, and it's nobody's business. Remember I told you before, HIPAA. Remember I told you before, HIPAA's gone. Yeah, HIPAA's gone. You used to not be able to ask me anything about my health. It was against the law, right? Against HIPAA. Now they've stepped all over that. You can ask whatever. So somebody's asking me, why do we think that they're doing it? What's the reason for all this? Population control. I'll say that all day long. Population control. We are running out of resources because we've killed the atmosphere. What do you need to do? Get rid of people. Who did they start with? The elderly. Who are they going to end with? The elderly. And those of us who are non-compliant. I need y'all to get to a state where you know how to take care of yourself. If you have, oh my God, I almost forgot one of the most important things. So that he said at the end of this video, women, oh women. Let me tell you what he said that worried him greatly. Remember what I said about the CTD not doing enough tests, reproductive tests? What they are finding now is that what is seeming to happen is that, remember I told you about that lipid that's the envelope, the FedEx envelope that carries the messenger RNA? So what they're finding now is that as that lipid dissolves, it is settling. Instead of dissolving completely, it's settling. Do you know where it's settling? In the ovaries. Do you know how many people have talked about irregular cycles and marriages and problems bleeding? Dr. Malone said, Camille didn't say this. Dr. Malone said that the fat that is supposed to dissolve is building, whatever you want to describe it as, into the ovaries. And yet we have all of these women that are talking about what's happening to their cycles, their pregnancies, their hot flashes, everything. Listen, y'all, take this information any way you need to take it, but take it and process it the way you need to process it. And I need you to understand that there is, in fact, a campaign of censorship to your wellness. They're not censoring people who are trying to kill you. That's them. They're trying to censor people like us who are trying to help you. So I need y'all to just get it. So even if you decide to take it or not, understand that it is an outside foreign program that is changing the way your cells read and function. I know the process of the body, and I know cells and cells function are the most important part of your life. If cells don't function right, you die. Okay? You die. So, wow, somebody just said now they're encouraging pregnant women to get the V. You know why? Which is sick, because they haven't done any reproductive studies. So now they need pregnant women so that they can use them to have reproductive studies and put in whatever CTD that they're updating. So I need y'all to get what this is. They created these things without studying them on humans. So let's talk about this real quick. Somebody said, well, now there's a new COVID. Yeah. So listen, they are going to add as many as they need to scare enough people to do these experiments. And I need y'all to get that beyond anything, let's go beyond taking the V. You all need to understand how your lymphatic system saves your life. And I need you to understand that that is also the system that can reset your cells to normal function. But you need to know how to do that. And there are a million ways to do that. And we can start talking about them next week. But that is truly the only way that you're not going to get COVID, because you do know that your lymph system will prohibit you from getting COVID or anything else that you could ever get, right? That's how we were designed, right? Science didn't design that, nature did. So I need y'all to just understand where we are. Some people were asking me last week, what happens if they didn't get the vax and their partner or their spouse did? Here's what I'm going to say about that. I feel bad about people who are in that situation. And I'm going to say that for this reason, because just like Dr. Malone just said, we don't know enough to even answer that question. It could be a problem. It could possibly not. It's a cellular programmed change, which changes, which can, like Dr. Malone said, which can change your entire genetic profile, which means if you are intimate with someone who's had a change in genetic profile, a lot of things could happen, right? A lot of things can happen. But what he kept hitting home to was we don't know. And that's where his irritation came from. Y'all can watch him. He kept saying, we don't know enough. In short, we rush this. And he said that too. We rush this so that we could get it out to people. But instead of that, why are we not teaching people how not to get any virus? Because if it isn't this one, it'll be another one. Or it'll be the flu or something else. But there are ways that your body fights. That's an automatic process that we were born with, y'all. It's just that everything that we put in it kills that function. So you have to control what we put in it. And so I will say this for the woman who asked me that last week. Remember what I said about the brain's control of the body. The body literally cannot do anything the brain does not tell it to do. So whenever we are thinking about our state of wellness, it always has to be a cognizant thought process about what you are going to allow your body to do or not. Remember what I tell you all the time? Camille can't get COVID. Why? Because the brain says the body can't. And that's crucial. That's crucial. So somebody's asking me, I got sick last year and my kids have asthma, so I'm a little scared about it, was thinking about it, but now I'm thinking about it again. So listen, here's the thing about people who have autoimmune diseases, which everything that takes your automatic immune, your detox process is your immunity. There is no separate immune system from the lymph system. The automatic constant detox process of your lymphs is what gives your body immunity, because when your body is detoxed, it is alkaline. When it is alkaline, it is pH balanced. When it is pH balanced, it is homeostatic. When your body is homeostatic, it cannot get sick. That's the definition of homeostasis, right? So anything that is outside of that process should be categorized as an autoimmune disease, except they like to categorize a whole bunch of stuff, right? So even asthma. Listen, you guys, when you have what they call an autoimmune disease, which to Camille is all of them, because your automatic process isn't working, that includes asthma. That means that your lymph busy. It's busy. It's busy, and it's so busy it can't fix the problem, right? Which means it's running on overtime or it's running undertime, but the problem stays because it's not balancing. That is the ultimate goal, is balance, right? So when they talk about chakra balances, meridian balances, frequency balance, that's the point, y'all. The body cannot get sick when it is in balance. So something like asthma means that the lymph system is already vulnerable, okay? If your lymph system is responsible for detoxing a computer program in an mRNA technology, you are going to have increased problems. It does not mean you're going to have them tomorrow. You may. Doesn't mean you're going to have them next week. It may. It may happen next year, 5 years, 10 years from now. I see people with side effects from things 20 years later because the body is constantly running until it can't anymore. And then something else happens. Inflammation builds there. When you have an autoimmune issue, you have inflammation in your body, and the body can't rid itself enough of it to balance the body. Something like asthma is very easy to fix, right? Our deal is we are not constant or consistent. Constant consistency is the only way we can keep our bodies balanced. Everybody's like, Camille, the things you tell us to do, how long do we have to do them? Every day. How many days do you live? Every day. How many days do you go outside and breathe crap air that's not oxygen? Every day. How many days do you go and eat stuff that's not real food? Every day. So you guys have to fight our environment, and our environment is killing us. It's killing Mother Nature. It's killing us too. So everything that we do has got to be constantly consistent. You cannot stop. You cannot slow down. You have to regulate your body's wellness because nature needs help right now. We're so concerned about global warming, and we absolutely should be. We need to be concerned about the global warming that's happening in our bodies. We are inflaming, and it is absolutely a lifestyle. Thank you, Kenya. It's absolutely a lifestyle. But we are Americans, and we want the quick fix, right? There is no quick fix, homies. It's consistent, and it's constant consistency every day. So now we're going to start talking about some of the things that you can do. And the young lady who asked me about asthma, please join next week so that you can ask me about that again. And I can tell you how to affect that. But I need us to get to a point where we reconnect to this, because let me say something to y'all. What I see a lot in people who've received the V, swelling in this sinus cavity here. This sinus cavity here feeds the brain and the body. And if you're swollen there, you know what you get? Brain fog, memory fog. So listen, y'all, in this last minute, I need you all to stay constant and consistent, particularly in your brain. I need you to separate some time for the frequency, and I need you to love in spite of differences. Y'all make sure that next week you come on, but I want y'all all to go to my YouTube channel and watch that video. Find out information for yourself. It's not, you don't have to believe me. Listen to the horse's mouth and come back next week so we can talk about ways to fix this, so that we can talk about ways to better all of us. We are collective. We need to stop separating. So until next week, actually, I'm going to separate from those of you who are following me on the website. It is 8:25. Stay tuned for what we got for you, and I will see y'all on ChitChat Radio next week. So for those of y'all still on